Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week of the D2 Live. Let me say that right.
What's going on?
The D2 Livestream Overload. I've removed the lockdown from this title just because nobody's really in lockdown anymore. Yeah. So, Fabio, how you doing?
All good, my man. All good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm feeling pretty good. Things are getting back to normal, which is nice. Yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm super excited that we announced the D2 online. That's really cool.
Yes.
Um,
Actually, that's a little bit of news that we should be sharing.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess probably the people watching this are keeping up with us generally, so they've probably seen that we announced that. But yeah, we're really happy to say that we will be doing this for 5 days, 3 hours each day in the week that the D2 would have taken place. The reason is, of course, that we don't want to overload anyone with like an 8-hour program during a whole day. So to break it up into pieces, we thought that would be the best bet.
How is this event going to be different from other events that are happening online, Jason?
How's it going to be different? Oh, I don't know. I guess we're going to try to do it a little bit differently than the others that I've seen so far because, I mean, let's face it, it's not a real conference. You can't really replicate regular conference atmosphere on an online setting, right? So I guess we just need to try to make it a little bit more interactive than the others I've seen. Maybe people can ask questions directly to the people who've spoken. I don't know. Yeah, and also just breaking it up like that, the time, making it less time because I mean nobody has that kind of attention span, right? Unless you are trapped in a room where you have to watch people talk for 8 hours. What do you think? How do you think it's going to be different?
Well, I think it will be different. I think that we will have to make it interesting so that people will want to watch it, and I have a couple of ideas already on how to do that. I am committed on my end to give the best 3 hours of that day to anyone who's going to tune in, and the way I envision this is that we're going to give value talks. We're going to give a place where people can confront each other a little bit on different topics, and we can have a conversation with some of the biggest people in the industry, not only in the archivist industry, but also in adjacent industries.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking of like bringing business experts to talk a little bit about the business side of design. We're thinking to bring people that might have been involved in archivists and then managed to expand horizontally and move transversally into other industries. And so it's a lot of inspiring content that might get your cogwheels in your brain going. And
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Also, what other news are this week in the CG field?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was something that I thought was kind of interesting in general. Like, I'm gonna put this up real quick on the screen. Was this this stuff that's happening with the Epic Games, which is strange. I mean, that they're seeking funding for 750 million. I mean, this is at a valuation of 17 billion dollars. So it's crazy. It's just interesting because they didn't make a comment about what it's for. So I'm interested, like, why they would be seeking funding. They make a lot of money, from their video games, from Fortnite and so on. They've like speculated that next year it'll be just revenue from like Fortnite is $1 billion, like in a projection. But still, so I'm curious what they're doing this for, what the idea is behind
Let
it.
me ask you,
What do you think?
Jason, how much money do we have in the D2 bank at the moment? Because we might chip in.
Yeah, you want to buy a couple mil steak? All right, let's do that.
I don't mind having a slice of that chocolate cake.
Yeah. Maybe they'll just maybe we can just get them to give us money. That's like even better, right? So any of you Epic guys out there watching, we're open. We're waiting for your call.
Yes.
No, but
we have like you can use whatever kind of transfer you want to use. We can come to you with a piggy bank. You just put it in there. Whatever it is that you want to give us, we'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I just think you can see in this article here, it's on VentureBeat, and I actually one of the funny things that happened was I saw an article somebody posted where I first saw it was in the Unreal Engine developers group or something like that on Facebook, and the article they posted, maybe it was from Bloomberg, I can't remember, it called Epic Games a startup. I mean, I'm sorry, they're not a startup, right? I mean, like as if they had just heard about them or something.
Past that.
I mean, Epic Games was founded in 1991. They're not a startup. I mean, I'm sorry, and they're worth 17 billion. No. I mean, they've been around forever. So I thought that was kind of a funny way to see it. And I guess they're really writing only from the financial side, which is interesting. But that it's still a private company. Like it's not a publicly traded company. So they do have shareholders or stakeholders or whatever. But Tencent, I think it says here, owned like 40% of it. Since 2012. So, but anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing that was going on because it's kind of unclear what they're doing that for. Maybe we'll hear about this in the future.
One of the big things that we missed last week was the launch of the PS5.
Yeah, like how ugly it is.
Everybody's saying that. I mean, like, when I play video games, I don't even look at my console. I don't know why people get so like frustrated about the design of the console. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, it's going to be sitting there in the room, right? You'll be able to see it unless you want to hide it or something. But I mean, one of the ideas of product design is that if you make something like that stands out, people will talk about it, and everybody's talking about it. Even if they're talking about that it's ugly, it doesn't matter. They're still talking about it. So in a way, it might have been purposeful to make something like that's really out of the ordinary, because it doesn't really. I mean, you're right. It doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, it's what do the video games look like? What are the features that it has? But it is funny though, because for me it's really ugly. Like it is just so ugly. Just the first my first response.
What is the funniest meme that you have seen about the new design of the PS5?
Well, I mean, I guess there was something where you had like it was like from somebody's coat, like it looked like a white coat, right? And they had put the person inside the PS5, their head sticking out or something. I don't remember. It was referring to something. I don't remember what it was exactly.
To me, the funniest is the Gordon Ramsay one, where he says, yeah. You're an idiot sandwich, when he puts like the hands around the head of the girl.
Yeah.
And in this one, it says, what are you? I'm a PS5.
All right, man.
Well, all right, Jason, this week we have a great guest.
I wanted to say the same thing. Let's bring Brett on. He's sitting there waiting for us to talk to him. So waiting patiently as we blabber on about whatever.
Ready.
So Brett, I'm gonna bring you on, my man. Brett, how you doing? You're on the air now.
I'm good, guys. Thank you. How you doing?
Good.
How's the lag?
It's, there is a little bit of a lag, but we'll deal with it. I'm sure it's fine.
It's all right. It's like it's the beauty of going live.
Yeah.
So where are you exactly? You're in Blackpool, is that what I read?
Yes, it's town in England called Blackpool on the seaside. Um, yeah, I've been here for quite a few years now. Since we, this is where I came to university, studied, and I met my now wife here on a blind date. Moved to London to get started in the industry, and slowly she dragged me back up to where she came from to be near her family. So yeah, back up in Blackpool. But it's nice because we can, especially now we're allowed back out. Within 5 minutes, we can be on the beach at 8 a.m. in the morning, and it's beautiful sometimes. So yeah,
That's pretty
Blackpool.
cool. Yeah.
And now, thanks to global warming, you can also enjoy the beach in the United Kingdom.
My name is John Chambers.
You can.
Yeah.
It's actually in your house.
So, Brett, we have a tradition here, the
Yes.
D2. Before starting our little chat with our guest, we ask them 5 lighting questions. It's a way for us to break the ice and to get to know you a little bit more. The question now is, are you ready?
I'm always ready.
All right. So there they are. Brett, 3, 2, 1. Beer or vodka?
Beer.
Baguette or sourdough?
Forget.
Sketching or 3D?
3D because I make money from 3D.
Quarantine or social distancing?
Quarantine.
Christopher Nolan or Wes Anderson?
Christopher Nolan.
All right. I would have said you were more of a Wes Anderson person. Maybe we're going to find out about your dark side.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Oh man, that was a difficult one. Sketching or 3D. What did you throw that one in there for?
Because, you're very good and very talented at making like portraits. And I remember when you came to speak at the D2, you did like some quick sketching also as a sort of like live demo. And you're very talented with your free hand. So, I was like, let's see what he enjoys doing more.
Well, if you actually, maybe I say it wrong, because if you say what I enjoy more, it would probably be sketching. But if I could only do one, it would have to be 3D, because that pays the bills and and everything, and got me to meet you guys as well, of course, the 3D side. So, but sketching, I love it when I get the chance. Actually, that's one good thing about the quarantine and being locked down, is it's given me an opportunity to do a bit of sketching again.
So that's why you chose quarantine instead of social distancing.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that was something I also remember about you, about meeting you the first time when we went to the, to the restaurant. Just a side note that people out there who are watching, that Brett is actually one of the few people who's spoken twice at the D2, at 2 different D2s. So that's actually kind of an interesting bit there. But the first time that we met there I guess it was the second D2 when you spoke, and we went to the restaurant and we were hanging out, and I was surprised to find out, that you actually don't have an architectural background, because it's a common thing, and that you're coming from like a fine art background, that you studied art, right? In school.
Yeah, it's what was really the only thing I was interested in, was just art. I just, from a very young age, I just used to sketch and draw, and I did art when I left school. I went into art. I ended up dropping out and going back and doing art again. So I never ever thought that I would get into anything to do with on computers. I didn't even like computers. I didn't even touch a PC until I was probably mid-20s or something. So it was just the background I came from. So yeah, I love it.
But how did that happen that you didn't want to have anything to do with computers, and then you got into it, and now you're doing 3D, or eventually?
So I was at college and I was doing fine art, and I didn't really know where it was going to lead. So I ended up dropping out. But I think one of the best things you can ever do in life to make you successful is get a shit job that you hate, that you're going in every day and you're thinking, I don't want to do this. So when I dropped out of college, I was working at a call center for a bank, Abbey National. So people would call me up, and I was there from 10 in the morning till 8 at night, transferring money over for people. And you're there thinking, oh God, this is dreadful. I've got to do something. So I think it got to about in October, and I went back to my college and I said, when I spoke to my old lecturer, I said, I need to come back. You've got to let me come back. So I went back, and he let me in late into the course on the premise that I would catch up, because he knew I was talented at drawing and stuff. He's like, if you come in, I'll let you join now. So when I was there, they said, look, you've got to start thinking about what you want to do. Do you want to end up drawing portraits on a pier somewhere and earning 50 quid a time or something? I was like, no. He said, why don't you take art onto a computer and find it that way? And that they introduced me to the course in Blackpool called Technical Illustration. So I came up, visited. They offered me a place straight away, and it went from there. So I spent 3 years doing that course. After the 3 years, we did an exhibition in London, and some guys, have you heard of the company Rock Hunter? They do some great stuff. Yeah. And I worked at Rock Hunter for 4 years. Yeah, and it was me, and there was another guy in my course called Matty. They came along, and we was quite fortunate because even in that course we didn't really do anything architectural, and they just came along, and they were after two enthusiastic keen guys looking to get into 3D, and they came along, saw the exhibition, and chose us to come along for an interview, and was like, do you want to do architectural visualization? I was like, don't really know what it is, but yeah, let's give it a go. Landed in it, and after a while just picked it up quite quickly and really enjoyed it, and ever since then, yeah, that's where it started. But I remember the first day at Rock Hunter. I owe a lot to them, because Rock Hunter gave us a big break, because we weren't even using the same software. We're using Lightwave to do 3D models and thinking. They were using 3ds Max, so they're like, move all the way to London, we'll help you move down, we'll get you started. And on the first day, me and Matty were sat next to each other on one computer, sharing, just watching tutorials and on how to actually do what we were supposed to be doing. And then, so it was crazy. That seems like yonks ago now, but yeah, that's how I got into it, and loved it ever since.
Dude, listen, I have a question.
Yep.
And this might, take you by surprise, but the quality that I think you're the most known for, at least within the D2 circle, is your ability to drink. And so the question,
that was gonna come up somehow.
And so the question is, what is your wildest drinking story?
Oh, no way. But the thing is, all the wildest stories, I don't remember. I get told them.
Okay, so what's the wildest drinking story that they told you about yourself?
But I've got to think of one, because I don't know who's going to watch it. So I've got to think of something that's not going to get me in trouble. It's not going to get me arrested. I remember one, actually, when I was working at the call center, and I was renting a bedroom from someone that I knew, and I went into town. But at that point, when you're not earning a lot of money, you get drunk before you go out. So a couple of friends came around with a ginormous bottle of vodka, and I was absolutely K-ing it, thinking the more I drink, the cheaper it'll be when I get out. I could just buy 2 pints when I get out then. But of course, vodka just hits you, doesn't it? So we got out, got rejected from everywhere. My friends were a bit more sensible, and they told me that on about the 5th time of trying to get in, this is in Derby, where I'm actually from, I decided, I was walking into this place. They said I ran into the middle of the road. I did a big full circle running around, stopped in the middle and lay on the floor in the middle of the road. Then I got up and I ran off home as fast as I could. On the way home, I must have fallen in mud somewhere, I got to the back door and I smashed the windows in the back door to get open because I couldn't get my key in. So I punched it. It was like a pane of like 6 windows. So I'd smash one of them. I'd open that. And this was being told, the guy that I used to live with told me all about this. And he said that I came wandering in. I walked all the way upstairs. As I got to the top, I fell backwards and crushed all the trainer and shoe stand, smashed all that on the floor, got into my room, pulled everything down, all my CD racks and everything on the floor. And I woke up in the morning just covered in, I had mud all in my toes. I had no idea. I had my trainers with me, but I still had muds in my toes, fingers, hands. I don't know, why am I telling you? How do I get onto this? I thought we were going to talk about art vision stuff, and I'm telling you about that. Oh, God.
We don't do that on the Overload show.
Yeah.
Archivist is boring. We'll talk about drunken night.
Yeah.
You see, this is supposed to be about
there's loads of stories like that.
This is supposed to be like a conversation that we would have if we were sitting at the D2 and had a few beers already. Like the stupid things you would tell people.
I'm surprised I've not told you this then.
That's the idea. It seems to be going to plan so far. So,
but you know, Jason, actually, hold on. And I'm sorry to steer the attention away from Brett. But I never heard about your craziest drunken story. Because, you know, like my craziest drunken story, the whole internet knows about it. And, you know, it's like they made fun of me.
Nipple tattoos or whatever, yeah.
The stars and everything. So, like,
I remember the first time I saw
you and Dave used to make fun of me every single D2. You remember?
Yeah. What for? Everything.
For the stars.
Oh, the tattoos.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, and I'm not saying I would love to have like a crazy drunken story to tell you, but I don't really have any. I don't know. I definitely have been really drunk a few times, but nothing ever really spectacular happened. So I can't.
The worst is when you don't remember when you wake up. I've woken up places and you look around and you're like, where am I? I'm really bad now. When you get drunk, when you get really drunk, the next day your mind just kind of wipes out. Like, we don't need to remember that. Let's wipe it out. Let's get rid of it. But yeah, you must have one crazy drunken story. Maybe we need to sort that out next year.
Well, I've got to.
Maybe the wife is listening, Brett. Maybe the wife is listening.
No, that's what I'm saying.
True,
I mean, this thing is saying I would tell you. I don't have any. I just don't. I wish I had a good one. I've been, you know, because I guess the thing is that I can't really drink a whole lot, like especially if you're, you know, drinking whiskey and you know, or vodka or tequila or stuff like this. My limit's not very much, so I've been sick a couple of times to the point where I was like, I'm not going to do that again. So I don't get to that point that often where I'm so drunk that I, for one thing, don't remember, or I think before I don't remember, I'm getting sick. So I'm trying not to get to that point, because that's like one of my least favorite things, to get sick from drinking. That's terrible. It's a really terrible.
You're a sensible drinker. I know a few people like that. They get to a point when they know, like, I've got to stop now, and they'll stop drinking on the night out. And I've never been like that. I've never thought to myself, I need to stop drinking now.
There's a point where I'll start drinking water, but then so that I can have another drink, you know, like after. But there's a point where I know, I'm like, if I don't drink like a gallon of water right now, I'm gonna have trouble later, you know. But I would prefer to remain standing most of the night. I don't know. That's my goal.
Yeah, I've had a couple of crazy nights in Vienna after the talks. To be honest, me and Dave ended up in some random club after one, some big nightclub. But yeah, why did I get that reputation from? Anyway, is that just from you? That's just Fabio's.
I don't know. You guys know, but I would.
No.
I'll be honest. I think it's British guys in general. You know. Yeah. When you get a bunch of British guys in Vienna, and then the they always get the craziest somehow
Yeah.
at the D2. I mean, it's
Yeah,
fun. It's like,
okay, I don't know. Do you remember, like, I think this was the second time that you guys came to the D2 together with Dave. Was it the second time? Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, and you told me that this guy on the plane, before getting on the plane, I think it was, were you in Manchester sometimes working?
Yeah, I worked in Manchester at the neighbourhood for a while. Yeah.
At the neighborhood. Okay, so you see, yes, and you guys were talking together, you and Dave, on behalf of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
except that they
correct?
weren't working for the neighborhood
Yeah,
anymore
it was
by
a
the
strange-
time.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we arranged to come and do a talk for the neighbourhood, and then in between saying that we'd do it and doing the talk, we both left. So we ended up doing a talk about me joining Art Media and the neighbourhood, and Dave being at the neighbourhood, and it was all we did a big talk. It was a bit strange, but yeah, that might be the time. That was the first time we came and talked. Yeah.
No, but it was good.
And I remember you
It was good because you guys.
I remember you.
So,
Right.
Fabio, you had already started. You go ahead. You were already in a thought. Go for
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that on the plane, you were coming to Vienna, and somebody came to you. You know, they were looking for their seat, and this guy was so drunk, and he looked at you.
Oh yeah.
Getting on
Yeah,
the
I
plane
forgot
and
about that.
said, "Where are you guys going?" And you say, "This plane is only going to Vienna."
Yeah. He was absolutely hammered. I don't know how they let him on the plane. Yeah, that was funny. I don't know how they let him on the plane, to be honest, but yeah, and he was talking to us for the whole flight, and it's one of them where you just like, I agree, mate, yeah, true, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
oh my God, what
me.
do we do?
That's probably me on the flight. Like the guy you were talking to. People are like, "Well, this guy is he gonna shut the fuck up?"
Why do British people like to get wasted already on the flight? Like, if I felt sick on the plane and I had to throw up, that would be the worst time of my life. I mean, don't you just want to wait until you get to Cyprus or whatever it is that you...
Spain.
It can't just be British people. It can't just be British people who do this. I mean, it is true. Like, especially, you can go on a stag. You've been on a big stag do, yeah. So my stag do a couple of years ago, the flight's at 4 a.m. So you're getting up in the middle of the night and going to 5. I can't remember what it is, 5 a.m. But as soon as you get to the airport, you just go straight to the bar, and and then it was straight away. Especially when it's your stag do, it's the worst because they just plonk pints in front of you. You have to drink this before you get on the flight. So you before you can get there, but then you can get there, you can have a little sleep and then carry on. But you're in that sort of holiday mode. You must feel the same, surely, when you're on holiday. Like, yes, I can just drink beer
with no consequences.
Oh, it can't just be us. No consequences. I've not got
what?
work tomorrow.
You know what? This kind of jogged my memory a little bit about some story. I'll tell you now.
You see, now it starts to emerge.
It's not like super crazy, but it's like just
doesn't remember them.
A thing I remember. I worked in a liquor store when I was in college, like my last year in college, and so when you would work like on holiday weekends, like 4th of July, for instance, if you worked, it was only one of us working in the store at a time. So if you worked there during that time, if the sales were over a certain amount, which I had no control over, obviously, but if the sales were over a certain amount, the guy would give you like a full case of beer to take. So this one weekend, it was like 2 days in a row of over the sales target, and I got 2 cases of beer for free. And I went floating on the river. I'm from a rural place, so we went to the river. We went floating with some friends. We had like all these, and they brought beer too. We had like all these cases of beer in the canoes. We're in canoes, and that was a lot of fun. So we can imagine that we were we were pretty drunk floating down the river. you know, flipping the canoes over and losing all our shit half the time, and like having to gather up all these cans of beer that were floating down the river and get them every time we flip over. You know, put the cans back in the. Yeah, and then we, you know, we ended up where we were going. We camped there overnight, and we woke up in the morning and realized we didn't really have anything to eat, so we just started drinking. You know, at 9 in the morning again, started drinking beer again. So those cases of beer came in handy. You know, that we had with us.
Yeah.
But that's not that crazy. But it was. I just remembered it was pretty funny. All that. It was the drunkest I was ever while floating down a river, you know, which is not a good necessarily a good thing.
That's so good, Jason. That's such a good story. Did you go to church that week?
Yeah. I mean, all Brett did was lay down in the road.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? I was in charge of a
Well,
boat.
apparently, I rolled in some mud. I rolled in some mud somewhere as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
But yeah, I do have others, but I'm not getting into any others.
Yeah.
I only got married 2 years ago. I don't want to get divorced already.
That's true. Yeah.
By the way, Mr. Golden also says that that's his routine when he flies, and so it's not only British people apparently.
Of course, you get to an airport and it's not. I need to go and buy some aftershave, sunglasses. It's I need a beer, regardless of what time you get there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. On the way to the D2, flights early in the morning. You turn up. You just get there. You have your pre-flight pint, whether it's 1, 2, 3. An airport. It's what you do.
I remember when you guys were coming to talk, and Fabio and I were like, from, you know, the previous year, we knew that you guys were, you know, having some fun. We were like, you think they're gonna be here? You think they're gonna show up?
Oh God!
Or you think they're gonna be at the bar?
Is that bad?
And now, because the thing is that, like, for the whole organization of the D2, you were always like, put us first thing in the morning so that we can get shit-faced for the rest of the day. And I was like, all right, I'll try to do my best.
Yeah. That was the talk with Art Media with me and Ben, and we said that straight away. Those guys there were just the same. They were like, let's get it out of the way. I think it's part of nerves as well, because you do turn up to that place, and I don't mind public speaking. You know, I'm confident in doing that sort of stuff and meetings in front of clients. But you kind of get there and you get on stage, and then your knees go a bit wobbly. So you kind of want to get that done, and then afterwards you want to be and just like, oh yes, it's done, it's out of the way. Hope it went well, and then you can just enjoy everyone else's and a few more beers.
Man, if you had seen the stage from last year, you would have been like, wow.
With 500 people sitting out there.
Like,
I know, yeah. I can imagine, because a lot of the guys as well that do this in this industry, it's some of the top guys that you do, I bet they're quite introverts. So they must be proper scared, but so fair play to those guys that get up and are able to talk and do amazing things. You know, so
yeah, Cornelius, we were just talking about, he actually told me when he was about to start, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm nervous. He was like, I'm not going to stand up. I'm going to sit behind the computer, you know, because it was easier for him to like sit there and talk and look at the screen, which I understand. I mean, I don't like getting up there either, really, but it's easier now, but than it used to be. But still, I mean, he some of the people, and Ash Thorpe wore sunglasses. So like the whole time he's wearing sunglasses. Which apparently is a strategy during public speaking, you know, like to wear sunglasses.
No. He went out drinking with the Slavs the day before, and they got shit faced, and so he looked like a panda. Ash Thorpe had like 2 car rims around his eyes.
He's never gonna talk to us again, Fabio. I'm sure he's watching right now.
Whoever is watching this, send this video to Ash Thorpe and tell him to watch this.
He watches all of our videos. Hey man, Brett. Anyway. Isabel, you know, Belle was commenting in there that she remembers that you were like the first British person that she met, and she couldn't understand you at all.
Yeah, yeah. It was something to do. It was something to do with my accent. I think I can't remember who I was with the first time. Like she could understand whoever I was with. Every time I spoke, she was like, "I don't understand whatever you're saying." I had to really slow down to a point where I felt like I was being really really slowing down and talking really slowly every time. But she's great. Seems to be doing really well. She's been to a few companies and that recently. Seems to be doing really well. I think she just settled by herself.
Yeah, I think she's in New York, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's still working for Binyan, no?
No, is it?
I think so. She can tell us if she's still watching.
She can tell us. Isabel,
Oh,
we're here.
I'm
We're
sure she just,
asking you.
if it's the same Isabel, I'm hoping I'm not getting confused. I'm sure she just set up something by herself or someone.
And also, Isabel, if you're watching this, why don't you come on the show sometimes?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We need to have Isabel on the show for sure.
But we met. I've seen her a few times. Obviously, I've seen her in Venice as well. I think.
Yeah. At
one point when I was there, but
at the SOA or what, or at the IMARC?
Yeah. So at the event.
Yeah.
The 2-day event. Yeah, I think I've seen her there. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you: Are you are now working on your own, right? Or do you have a company with employees, or do you by yourself?
No, I just work by myself. It was just 2 years ago I set up my own company. Decided to set it up. Well, I say company, but it is just me.
I'm gonna show your Instagram
just
right
working
now.
from home. But it's gone. I have to say, I mean, it's been an amazing 2 years. I've worked hard, but I've got a really great client base. Everything I do is all in the US. I started out with one project in New York. Since I've done that, I now have jobs in New York, Brooklyn, Seattle, Florida, Texas, Washington. So it's crazy, but it seems to be going really well. So I'll probably stayed under. I mean, I don't post a lot of stuff. I post the odd image here and there because I have a lot of stuff under NDAs. Because some of the stuff I work on is really quite high end. I'm working on a project at the minute, which is just I'm currently working on, which is just unbelievable. I think it's something like it's 10 million to get your foot in the door. But it's great thing to be working on. Working with some great people. I've just made some great connections, and I find it truly crazy. You know, I'm sat here, as I say, in Blackpool, and you get an email from someone in Washington or Seattle going, "Oh, I heard you're the guy that we want to work with. Can you have a look at this project for us?" And you're like, oh, "This is nuts." But I love it. Yeah.
How are they generally coming to you?
I do miss
like this.
It's just through word of mouth, just through, if that's what you mean. Like, how have they found me? It's just basically, I've made some really good connections quite a few years ago in New York, and I worked on a few projects. And something that I heavily base my work around is the client relationship. I try and build the best client relationship that I can, to a point where a few of them we even text at the weekends and ask how the family are and things like that. So, you know, when you build that, and then it's just come from that. It's just literally, I've not marketed or anything. It's every job that I've had over the past 2 years has just been from word of mouth and just passed on. So that's why I don't put a lot of stuff in that out there. But you know, things seem to be going really well, which I'm really happy about at the moment. Touch wood, long may it continue.
That's why I asked, because I don't see a big presence like you have, you know, the Instagram, but you don't really have a website, do you? I didn't even see one. I mean, I just wondered how you were getting the jobs.
I do have a website. Well, it's more like an online portfolio that's like under, and it's not out of like, I don't want anyone to see my work. It's just out of the fact that I don't, as you have been speaking to some other people, no is a powerful word, but I also don't like saying it. So at the moment, I don't need to put it out there and be like, guys, come and hire me. At the moment, it's going steady. I'm getting a lot of work, and I can control it. If there becomes a point where I'm like, oh, I've got nothing, then I might launch that website that I create. It's more like an online portfolio that I just send to potential clients who ask to see it. And yeah, so I don't want to keep saying no to people because there is only me. I don't like farming stuff out because you lose control, the work gets diluted. So there is only me. So I still do. I mean, I've been going 2 years, and I had a look the other day, and I've worked on close to 50 different projects, over 130, 40 images over 2 years, just by myself with the help of a couple of freelancers that I get into model things like a bit of furniture if it's furniture that I can't find, or and then another guy that I used to work with the neighborhood. He jumps on every now and then to help with a little bit of modeling and that. But yeah, it's going on. That's why, I was going to say I've not put loads out there. I have a lot of stuff under NDAs, as I said, but I'm working on something good at the minute, which I'm hoping to put out in the future. Maybe a bit more. I can start releasing a bit more stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually I cut you off, I think, earlier. You were going to say you missed something. Were you going to say you missed working with other people, or?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, as you know, I like to see myself as a people person. I like being around people, interacting, talking. And when I was at Rock Hunter, we had a group there. Then I went to Neighborhood. There was a big group, and it was great being around loads of people. And the same with Art Media, it was good. But I always always wanted to set something up myself. But where I am, I'm not in a big city, so I don't think I'd be able to find the staff and that'll appear to set something up. So at the moment, I am just by myself, working. But I'd certainly miss working and bouncing ideas off other people and working with people without a doubt. But yeah, so things are going good, I hope.
Dave Buckley has stopped by the chat, and he asks, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
All right.
So if you want to say hi or tell him to go screw
Where
himself.
is he? I can't see it.
Dave's doing great. Dave's working he's got his own company as well, and he's doing some great work. Yeah, I think he does a lot of work in the UK, but he seems to be doing really good. I have no idea who I am.
Yeah,
ask him.
The strange thing is I see his comment on the D2 page live stream, but on the other I don't see it. So I don't know if he deleted it or. Sorry, Dave, if you deleted it. Sorry about that, buddy. Maybe I shouldn't have said it out loud. What he said.
All right, okay.
Anyway, he shouldn't have posted it, right? Yeah, Dave's a great guy too. Would like to see. I can't remember that he came last year to the conference, but.
No, I don't think he's been for a few years. I think he came when I don't know if he came when we spoke as Art Media. He might have come then.
He was there, yeah.
But he was the one that Dave was the one that introduced me to you guys. I mean, and then we came. The first time I came and met you was when Thomas Dubois did his little class for a couple of days, which was great. And that's when we got the ribs.
Actually, yeah, that's actually the first time we met was at that workshop, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was at the workshop. Yeah, and then from that you asked us to come and speak, but we ended up leaving Neighborhood not long after that.
I remember that was quite a funny thing because we had already announced. We announced like the names of the companies that were going to be having people come to speak, and then we had to go back on it and like, nope, actually. And I think there was somebody else who didn't come that year who we had posted at the very beginning. But you guys came. It just wasn't for the neighborhood. But yeah, that didn't matter. But it was kind of
that year we had to do a lot of damage control.
Is that why you put us on twice?
No,
because someone else didn't come.
No. That was.
But you didn't tell us though. We're going on twice. We did the first talk on the first day, and we're like, yes, we're done. And then you came up to us and said, any chance you can do tomorrow morning as well, first thing in the morning in the other room? We're like, oh God. But turned out right.
Yeah, that's why this is why we ended up, eventually being happy to have only one place, one stage, one large stage, because you don't have these kind of conflicts
Yeah,
having two different things going
Yes.
on.
yeah, because there was two different rooms at that
Yeah,
that
that's
one
no
where I did the
good.
first time.
It's
Was
no
two different
good.
rooms.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't like this, so
yeah.
it's better to have one room. But we don't have these problems anymore, Fabio. Like doing damage control.
No.
You know why? I
No.
think I know why. Because
Why?
we're so big and awesome now that if you were to like leave, like to like screw us over, you would be done in the industry. Done, man. People are
What's going
scared.
on with you?
People are scared of us. I'm just kidding. I'm just being stupid. You don't
No,
want to miss that
but
opportunity. All right.
Brett, on another
Yeah.
note, because this is one of the things that people ask me all the time when they watch videos on my channel. How does a person start a single man show in the archivist industry nowadays and makes it so successful?
Like I said, the main thing is building client relationship. I think you shouldn't just if you're in a good place in a company, you've got to take your time. It's hard because I don't want to say, I don't know how to say it, but you need to build some good client relationships with the people that are going to come back to you regularly for work, and then you could start out freelancing for people. I mean, before I actually left, I was about to do some work with Mr. P Studios. It turns out I didn't in the end, because I know if I used to work with Phil at the neighborhood from Mr. P Studios, and I contacted him, and I think it's contacting studios and just saying, look, I'm about to go freelance. Would you be interested in letting me do some work and stuff on the side for you and then building up it that way, and then you got to put your name. You just got to get in there with people and try and get your name out and get your own clients. Just don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's just getting out there. But I think I bang on about it a lot, but client relationships is massive for me, because there's times when you have to go that extra mile for them. There's a lot of times when they come in and there might be little tiny comments and stuff. So you have to think in your head, okay, is it worth me saying this is going to cost X amount, or is it worth me just going, no worries, you know what, I'll take care of that for you. I'll get that sorted. I'll have it over tomorrow. And then they'll be thinking, oh, this guy's great to work with. And I think it's just really building those strong bonds with clients that are going to make sure that they want to come back to you. Don't know if that answered any of your questions.
No, I think it does. It's just that, very often we have people that have opinions that always clash. And, the thing that I try to always make people understand is that whenever you think that you should be doing something, you should do it despite the opinion that I might have, that Jason might have, that Brett might have. However, with that said, starting out by having a little lead will make your life a lot easier than if you were to start with nothing, right?
Did you
Now
say
Yeah,
something?
sorry, you cut out of it then. Starting out with what, sorry?
Brett? Oh, sorry. What did you say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there is a lot of lag.
There's a
I missed
right
what you
now.
said. Starting out with what, sorry?
Starting out with by having a relationship with somebody that you could reach out to and say, listen, I went out solo. We worked already in the past. How about you and I try to work on a project together?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, okay, I'm starting my own business.
Getting your name up. I mean, you have to tread carefully. Obviously, you don't want to be, but certainly just putting your name out there with people that you've worked with in the past and people that you felt that you've had a good relationship when you've worked on projects. I mean, I'll be honest. When I was at where it all started for me in the US, I'll be completely honest. It was when I was at the neighborhood, and I worked on a couple of projects. And when they came back in, they said that they really enjoyed working with me and requested a couple of times that I worked with them. And then when I left, I had messages on like Instagram saying, look, Brett, we know that you've left. We want to come and work with you. And that was simply from building a really good bond with your client, where it becomes more than just about work, where you can almost make it sort of personal bond, where you're interacting about other stuff, about personal stuff. So on the phone calls, you know, I used to speak to some clients in America, and I'll be having a laugh and joke with them about how, why do you call it football when it's not a football? It's more like it should be called egg ball. And you know, you'd be having a laugh, and it's about having a bit of a personality about yourself, where these guys like, oh, he's good fun to work with. I'm waffling on me. I don't know what I'm on about, but but it's
okay.
just building those relationships whenever you can. And it turned out that they just, when I left, they requested to come with me, and they followed me to Art Media and followed me when I left Art Media to settle by myself. I knew that I already had some good relationships that I could hone in on when I'd settled by myself to really build something around. And from that couple of relationships, it's grown massively to a point where I'm being emailed throughout other places in the US, which is phenomenal. And some of the projects, like I say, I'm working on, are just amazing.
Yeah, I think that's something that people don't recognize when they see someone who's starting something on their own and been successful with doing it, is that what they did in the background or in previous years, even years ago, is now paying off. Like, it's not like you can just leave and then put the sign out and say, hey, I'm ready. Where come to me.
Yeah.
It's like you've done the work that for years to get that to happen. Like you know, people.
Yeah.
I had like a weird situation where I had a guy who I'd met like 15 years ago, an architect in New York, who came to me like 15 years later. I mean, I had been kept in contact with him.
Yeah.
And I never really asked him about doing work for him or anything. And then he came to me one day because he knew what I was doing. He's like, can you do this? I got a nice project out of it, you know? I mean, I don't know how much, he doesn't need a lot of work, so I don't know how much it continues. But the point is that I kept talking to that guy all those years as a friend, not like that looking for work. And then when there was something there, he just came to me. And I think that's what people sometimes discount. I would say what you have to do right now, if you're starting out, is just start talking to as many people as possible. Get to know them. Keep talking
without
to
a
them.
doubt. Yeah.
That's it. I mean.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, the client relationship thing is, as I say, it's a real big thing. And you'll know along through working for other companies, you'll work with people and you think, oh, this guy, you yourself will think, these are great to work with, really enjoy working with these. And you just build up that relationship to the point where they will remember you years down the line when you're sending stuff out and you're like, I used to work at so-and-so, remember you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I remember working with you, you'd be great. I'd love to, and you have a look at this work and stuff. It's just getting yourself out there as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I mean, I've worked with a lot of great artists along the way from when I started as well. So when I was at like Rock Hunter, I worked with, when I first started, I was under the guidance of Chris Clarkson from D-Box, who you spoke at your thingy. So when I first started, I was working with him. Great guy to work from. Ian Banks used to come and freelance into Rock Hunter. So I taught Ian Banks everything he knows. I'm joking, the other way around. So he used to come in, and then at Neighbourhood, obviously you've got Phil and stuff. So I've worked with some, and at Art Media as well, I've worked with some great artists along the way. And you've got to, when you're starting out, you've got to turn into some sort of, just ask people loads of questions all the time. If you're unsure, just speak to them and just take as much on board as you can from these artists that you know are good and know are doing a great job. Just watch them, sit and watch them sometimes. That's what I used to do at Rock Hunter, just watch them do stuff in Photoshop and ask them, to the point where sometimes they might get annoyed because you're asking so much and you're like, oh, I just want to know, how do you do that? And they'll be like, sometimes you say, go and ask Google. I'll be like, I don't need to ask Google, I'm asking you, you know. You know, like just take it all on board from them as much as you can.
Yeah. No, that's true. You can learn a lot from people. I think that's actually the advantage of working in a studio. At least if you're starting out, it's a good thing, probably, because you can you can learn from people. I never had this
Yeah,
opportunity.
absolutely.
I think it's not so great that I didn't have this, I never worked, I always worked as an architect, and then I was doing the 3D stuff just kind of on the side in the office, That's how I started doing it. But when you,
But I've heard some of your talks recently where some people have said they've had like the 3ds Max books that are like that thick,
yeah,
and they're like reading through it. I mean, I couldn't read through that. I opened 1 or 2 pages and I was snoring. You're like, I can't read this. There's no better experience than to sit with someone that knows it, just
yeah.
watch them, follow them, and just take on board what they, as much as you can from them, and actually doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually worked for just a really short time in an office with some other people, like there were, a Viz office, and I learned more stuff during that short time that pushed me so far ahead, like in 3 months, than like all the other stuff I did by myself, because I saw what they were doing and was able to figure out from what they were doing, like how to do things. I remember this was the time, it was a long time ago, but this was the time when I discovered masks in Photoshop. And I was like, my mind was like blown, like how to work with masks. I was like, what just happened? Like, now I can see how everything is done. But yeah, stuff like that, though. It's like those moments that push you forward really fast. It's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Masks. Yeah.
That went deep arc viz then.
And now people don't want to wear masks. Jason, I guess that we've been going for a little bit more than an hour.
Yeah, it looks like an hour.
Ready?
Goes fast, doesn't it, Brett?
It does, yeah. It does when you're talking about drunken stories and that, it goes quite quickly.
Those are the best stories. Let me just remind those who are watching, please hit the like button because it helps the video getting better ranked by YouTube. Although, there's only 8 people watching and probably half of them have already been hitting the like button. But hey, everything helps. And also, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing. We're going to drop a brand new video every single week. I am sorry myself that I'm not that present on social media lately because I'm currently moving houses and we're moving from a country to another. So it adds one layer of complexity to the problem. But I don't know, dude. I want to thank you for being here. It's always so cool to hang out and to talk. It's, you have a funny, smiley face every time that I see you, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, it's nice.
Funny smiley face.
We had to do a live stream so that we actually talked face to face, Brett. Because I don't know how long it's been since we actually talked. But this is one.
Okay, well, fingers crossed. I really hope that we're back up to normal next year, and I'll be there next year if it's on. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Really, I cannot wait.
I love going to conferences in general, like also to go to others, and this is I even though it's been only a couple months, just the idea that we can't go, I've really missed that. I really enjoy it, and to hang out with other people. So I can't wait either until it's all back to normal. But I want to remind everyone as well to to keep up to date with to check out what we're announcing, because we are going to do the D2 Live this online this year for 5 days in a row. So keep up, keep following us to see what's going on there. But Brett, man, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. It was great.
Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
we're gonna stop this.
Let's make it a hat trick sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop the stream now. So hold on, Brett, and we'll say goodbye afterwards. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Yeah. Good night.
Thanks a lot, guys. Goodbye.
I've got to run.